is Ascariasis, and it is one of the great problem, especially in the newborn animal, especially the calf, and the kids, and the small pups. So coming directly to the topic, so this will be Ascariasis. First, we will discuss about the different life cycle and the different clinical condition, especially in case of pig, horse, and cattle. And there are different names, there are different synonyms of this disease. For example, new Ascariasis, Ascariasis, and Paraascariasis. These are the different terminology synonyms to this Ascariasis worms. And as we know that this Ascariasis is one of the greatest problem in our domestic animal and in our companion animal. But these parasites, like other parasites, what we are discussing in nematodal worm, is species specific. There are different Ascariates that are specific to different species of the animal. So it is called a host specific one, and each and every Ascarias has its own host, and they produce generally disease in that host only. So this is very, very important point. You just note down that this Ascaris worms are host specific. Every host has its own Ascaris worms, and they produce disease specifically in that host only. So they are the largest intestinal parasites of cattle, buffalo, sheep, goats, pigs, and horses. So this is also something different from the parasite which we are already seen in nematodes, like the parasitic gastroenteritis, the hookworm diseases, hookworm parasites, and Haemonchus contortus. So this is slightly different from this parasite. The adult worms are large in size. So they are the largest intestinal parasites found in the GI tract of the cattle, sheep, goat, pig, and horses. So you see here, the size of the female is very, very long, that is 30 centimeter long, and the males are around 25 centimeter long. So the size of the parasites is very, very important. As we come to know that every species has its own Ascaris worm. So this is the etiology species-wise. So in case of pig, the main etiological agent is Ascaris sum. In cases of horse, it is Paraascaris equorum. And in cattle and buffalo, this is Toxocara vitulorum. So you see here the Toxocara vitulorum. Generally, we talk about lots about the Toxocara vitulorum, especially in case of cattle and buffalo. And in case of buffalo, this is again a very, very important disease, especially in the buffalo calf, because it is related with the mortality of the buffalo calf also. There are only few parasites that leads to mortality, in which Toxocara vitulorum is again one of the parasites that is a great problem in case of buffalo calf. So you just take note of this, that this Toxocara vitulorum is a very important Ascaris worm of cattle and buffalo. Now again, coming to the sheep and also to the man, the Ascaris lumbricoides. We have lots of study about the Ascariasis in human beings also. Similarly, the same Ascaris worm is found in the man and the sheep, and the etiology is Ascaris lumbricoides, and in dog, it is Toxocara canis. So for a clinical point of view, we will be concentrating on the Toxocara vitulorum and the Toxocara canis. So we will see the life history, we will see its epidemiology in the different organisms. Now coming to the life cycle one, you see the adult worm is found in the small intestine, and in the small intestine there lays large amount of eggs. That eggs is swallowed by another host, and egg hatches in the intestine. Now this hatching of the intestine, as we have seen in other parasite, there was development of L1, L2, and L3 larval stage, and that L3 larval stage was generally infective in most of the nematodal worm. Here the eggs hatches in the intestine and the larva comes out. Now this larva migrates via the intestinal wall to the portal vein and to the liver. So this is again a slightly different type of life cycle. In the previous cases, we have seen that after ingestion, it goes into the lungs and goes into the heart, and from there is again swallowed, and after swallowing, it develops into adult worm in the GI tract. Here, the larva enters into the GI tract, and this larva after penetrating the peritoneal layer, penetrating the wall of the GI tract, it enters into the portal vein and to the liver. So this is a differential point here from the other nematodal worm, what we have already studied. So here is the differential point. Here the migration occurs through the peritoneal cavity by rupturing the wall of the GI tract and enters into the peritoneal cavity and then enter into the liver through the portal vein. Now we come to the hepatic venous system. After entering into it, it comes into the hepatic venous system, and from there it's again enter into the lung. You see, generally in a hookworm disease, we find that there is a migration of the larva through the lungs and the heart. So only there is a migration is there. Here also, the larva is migrating from the lungs into from the liver into the lung and then into the bronchial tree, and then it again come into the pharynx. So same mechanism is there. These larvae are migrating from this vital organ, that is from the liver to the lung, and from the bronchial tree, it is coming into the pharynx of the host. So after coming into the pharynx, again swallowed, and it then entered into the intestine and converted into the mature worms. So the real picture is created inside the GI tract, the real problem. But due to the migration of this larva from the very, very vital organ like the liver, the lung, and lastly on the bronchial tree, they might produce certain clinical conditions like the liver disorder or the hepatic disorder, as well as certain respiratory distress during the migrations. It may produce some allergic reaction in the respiratory tract, in the lungs also. So the clinical sign will be slightly different. Apart from producing diarrhea and dysentery, it may lead to chronic coughing in the animals. So the second life cycle is also very, very important. As we have seen, the most important life cycle is the first one, but the second life cycle, as we have already seen, the second life cycle in case of hookworm infestation, that is Ankylostoma caninum. Can anyone tell what was the second life cycle in Ankylostoma caninum? Anyone? दूसरा क्या लाइफ साइकिल बताया था मैंने? हेलो आलोक, आलोक, हेलो, एनीवन? बताइए दूसरा लाइफ साइकिल. एक सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट लाइफ साइकिल इंजेक्शन था एंड पेनिट्रेशन थ्रू स्किन था. Is there any other life cycle, either migration or the cycle in Ankylostoma caninum? Pardon? Fetus. So उसको क्या बोलते हैं?
Placental transmission.
Okay, तो ये जल्दी बताना है ना. So it's a fetal transmission नहीं बोलते हैं. Transmission through placenta, or it was transmitted during the ingestion of colostrum. So transplacental and transcolostral transmission was very important in case of Ankylostoma caninum. So this was the second life cycle, because these parasites, especially the Ankylostoma caninum, during pregnancy, it remains in a dormant stage, and when the 40-45 days of the pregnancy comes to the beaches, they start migrating, okay, towards the mammary gland and towards and passing through placenta, and then it enters into the fetus. So this is not a fetus cycle. This is a transplacental transmission and transcolostral transmission. So during pregnancy, during that period, 40 to 45 days, it remains in a dormant state, that is in the somatic cells. And when the 45 days of pregnancy come in the beaches, they start migrating from there into the udder or passing through placenta to the fetus. So there is a 0-day infection. That 0-day infection is very, very important. And therefore, when the pups start reaching the age of 15, 20 or 25 days, they start dying. So the whole litter may die. So this is very, very important. That was the second life cycle was very important. Similarly here, you see the somatic cells here. The larvae, it settle in the somatic cells. Similar to the previous parasite, it settle into the somatic cells. In the somatic cell, there is no developmental stage of the larva. But during calving, when the cattle enters into the calving period, similar to the Ankylostoma caninum, the Stoxocara vitulorums, they start larvae activated and migrate to the other. So here also you see the transcholesterol transmission. And these are the very, very important a point where we find that in the 0 day, because the parasitic infestation never occurs when in small animals, in the newborn animal, because once the animal start taking feed, then there is a chance of parasitic infestation. But here there are two important parasites that are transmitted through colostrum or through placenta. There is a chance of 0 day infection, and therefore these small animals are highly susceptible to these types of worms, especially the Toxocara vitellorum or Toxocara caninum, and also the Ankylostoma caninum. So this is very important point, and also very important for examination point of view. For after activation of this larva in the udder, it passes into the colostrum, and when the after the birth, after parturition, this calf started taking the colostrum of the mother, and they get infected with this type of parasite. So this second life cycle is very, very important, and therefore this type of infection is called calf foot disease. You just note down. Therefore, it is this type of infection is generally called calf foot disease, means the disease that is encountered during the calf foot periods. So they are also popularly known as calf foot disease. Now you see here the pathogenesis. The migration of Ascaris larva through the liver and lung leads to fibrosis and hemorrhage. As we have discussed in the life cycle, we see that this larva migrate from the liver and the lung. So during passing from that region, they produce fibrosis and hemorrhage to the respective tissue. That is, in the lungs, the edema and consolidation of the alveoli may occur. So these are the secondary complications they produce during their migration from one organ to another organ. So you see the epidemiology is very, very important. Generally, pigs and horses get the infection from the ingestion of this infected larvae eggs. But the Toxocara vitellorum, the most important parasites, especially of the cattle and the buffalo, are present in the greatest number in the colostrum. So this second life cycle is that is the calf foot infection is very, very important. They generally do infected by taking of the mother's milk or the colostrum during 2 to 5 days, just after calving. So this is the danger period of this parasite. 2 to 5 days after calving, the larvae are ingested by calves along with the colostrum. This develops into adult worm in their intestine about 10 days of age. So you see, as we have discussed in Ankylostoma caninum, just after birth, it is not going to produce mortality or death, because the larva takes some time to develop into the adult worm. And this just after ingestion, you don't know whether it's migrated on the 0 day, on the first or second day. Therefore, the danger period starts just after 10 days, just after 10 days. And therefore, we advocate also that the real time of deworming in case of any newborn animal is just after birth 15 to 20 days, because it takes time to develop the larva into adult worm during this period. So you see that after 10 days, this larva start producing, converting into adult worm. So during that period, it produced the greatest morbidity or mortality in the cattle. The worm started laying eggs, which are passed into by 3 weeks period. So you just the most important, generally the owner asks, I have a calf or a buffalo calf or a cattle calf. What should be the proper age of the first deworming? So the first deworming is very, very important. You have to take care of the parasite that are generally there is a transmission through colostrum, or there is a transmission through placenta. So you have to deworm the cattle calf or the buffalo calf generally during after 15 to 20 days of the birth. So this is most important point. Why do we go for deworming of the neonates, especially to relieve this deworm from either from the Toxocara vitellorum or from Ankylostoma caninum, because there is a chance of transmission of this parasite from mother's milk to the calf. So this is again, and therefore the diseases are called as a calf foot disease. So sometimes short notes and other type of question are asked from this, why this Toxocara vitellorum or caninum are known as a calf foot disease. Now you see the disease is especially important in buffalo calves and pups, because this parasite produces infection during the earliest part of the life, and therefore their pathogenesis and their morbidity and mortalities are more important in buffalo calves and pups, because the young ones are highly susceptible to this parasite. So generally the mortality is moderate in adult, and high in neonates, because sometimes there is some resistance in the adult worms, adult host or adult cattle and buffalo, and even in dogs. So therefore, this parasite is very, very important for the young ones. Now, what are the clinical findings? Now, if there is an inquiry, you can ask a few questions from here. Then I will proceed. Alok.
जी सर, वो काल्फ में 15 से 20 दिन में जुगारिंग करेंगे तो उसमें मतलब उसका क्या रहेगा डोज रेट सब जो?
हाँ, पहले समझ गए क्यों 15 से 20 दिन में पहले बार डिवॉर्म करेंगे?
यस सर, यस सर।
हाँ, उसका समझ गए। कोई भी डोज रेट चाहे वो अभी हम ट्रीटमेंट में आएंगे, इट्स गिवन एनी एंथेल्मेंटिक जो इस पे काम एक्ट करता है, उसका एक अपना डोज रेट होगा। अभी हम उसमें आएंगे कौन कौन से डिवॉर्मर है, हम उसी तरह से बॉडी वेट के अनुसार पे कैलकुलेट करेंगे और हम स्पेसिफिकली जानेंगे कि कौन सा पैरासाइट्स पे कौन सा एंथेल्मेंटिक ज्यादा अच्छा काम करता है, मींस स्पीसीज स्पेसिफिक। ठीक है, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई भी नेमाटोडल वॉर्म्स पे कोई भी बेंजीमेडाजोल ड्रग ऑफ ग्रुप्स काम हो सकता है, लेकिन कुछ यहाँ पे स्पेसिफिक होंगे। बहुत ही पुराना ड्रग है जो कि अभी भी चल रहा है, लेकिन उसकी टॉक्सिसिटी का भी ध्यान रखना होगा। ठीक है, जो भी अभी हम बहुत सारे पाउडर हैं, बहुत सारे ऐसे पुराने ड्रग भी हैं जो कि अभी भी इफेक्टिव है, लेकिन उसका कुछ साइड इफेक्ट है, इस पे हम चर्चा कर। लेकिन कोई भी हम एंथेल्मेंटिक देंगे, वो पर्क चाहे वो हम एडल्ट में दें या यंग वन में दें या किसी भी एनिमल में दें, उसका बॉडी वेट के आधार पे ही देंगे। ठीक है, मोटा मोटी हमको एक बॉडी वेट का पता होना चाहिए, उस पे ही कैलकुलेट करके देंगे। ओके, एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? So coming to the clinical picture, okay, clinical finding, what will the clinical finding in these types of parasitic infestation? So afebrile and intermittent diarrhea, as we have seen that these parasites, most of the parasite, there is no febrile reaction, there is no systemic reactions, and this differentiate from other bacterial and viral type of infection. So there will be intermittent diarrhea, but diarrhea is not followed by a high rise of body temperature. So this should be kept in mind. But you see that very, very important point, there is written obstructive jaundice. Why it obstructive jaundice here? Anyone? Jaundice होने का क्या कारण है ये पैरासिटिक इन्फेस्टेशन में?
वो सर, वो पैरासाइट तो ये
अभी हमने डिस्कस किया है L1 में लाइफ साइकिल।
जी सर, अभी यस सर, वो लीवर में हिपेटिक वेनस सिस्टम में जाता है ना सर।
ओके, कोई और भी? प्रियंका या कोई? इज इट ट्रू? इज इट ट्रू? ऑब्स्ट्रक्टिव जॉइंटिस, कितने तरह का जॉइंटिस हो सकता है एनिमल में? एनीवन, कितने तरह का जॉइंटिस होता है? यहाँ पे ऑब्स्ट्रक्टिव जॉइंटिस लिखा हुआ है, इट मींस अदर टाइप्स ऑफ जॉइंटिस भी होते होंगे। थोड़ा पढ़ के, पीपीटी दिया रहता है यार पहले से, या बुक से पढ़ के आना है। देयर आर 3 टाइप्स ऑफ जॉइंटिस, प्री हिपैटिक, हिपैटिक एंड पोस्ट हिपैटिक। ओके, 3 तरह का। आप लोग ऑडियो खोले रखें, बात नहीं कर पाते हैं ऑडियो आप, ताकि आप इमीडिएटली स्पीक करिए और अपना वीडियो भी ऑन रखिए, हम देख नहीं पाते हैं, आप लोग का रिएक्शंस नहीं पता चलता है, फेशियल रिएक्शंस। सो there are 3 type of jaundice, that is pre-hepatic, hepatic and post-hepatic. Pre-hepatic कहने का क्या मतलब है, hepatic कहने का मतलब क्या है, और post-hepatic कहने का मतलब क्या है? और तो हम we are not dealing with the jaundice, but since there is a obstructive jaundice is one of the most important clinical finding in this disease. So pre-hepatic means something hemolysis or hemorrhage is occurring before reaching to the system. So for example, different hematoprotozoal disease. Okay, hepatic means certain injury to the hepatic cells. Generally, it leads to liver parenchyma. There is certain infection agent that directly infect the liver cells. Now, post-hepatic is very different thing. Just like some calculi is forming in the region, so there is obstruction in the flow of the bile into the GI tract. So as we have seen in the life cycle 1, this parasite, after entering into the GI tract, it penetrates through the wall of the peritoneum and then enters into the hepatic region, where it lodges in the portal veins. So once there is a lodgement in the venous system, there will be obstruction in the flow of that bile into the GI tract. So once the bile get accumulated in the system, so it shows a yellowish discoloration of the body. So this is the reason why it is called an obstructive type of jaundice. There are many tests to biochemical tests also to that indirectly indicate that this animal is suffering from obstructive jaundice. Can anyone tell me any type of test biochemical? कौन सा ऐसा टेस्ट कर लेंगे जिससे ऑब्स्ट्रक्टिव जॉइंटिस का पता चलता हो? ऑब्स्ट्रक्टिव जॉइंटिस बहुत सारे लिवर फंक्शन टेस्ट हैं
सर। वो ये बिलिरुबिन टेस्ट तो करेंगे, एक इकार्टिक कुछ आता है, याद नहीं आ रहा सर, इकारा टेस्ट करके आता है नाम।
इकारा टेस्ट तो नहीं है। ओके, इक्टेरिक टेस्ट कर रहे हैं क्या? इक्टेरिक इंडेक्स बोल रहे हो? इक्टेरिक इंडेक्स, ओके, चलो इक्टेरिक इंडेक्स। बट देयर इज ए बायोकेमिकल टेस्ट। बिलिरुबिन लेवल तो बढ़ेगा ही, एक्यूमुलेट होगा सीरम बिलिरुबिन, but the most important is you might you go through the pathology book or some diagnostic pathology book, you see the different tests for the liver. Okay, so every test has its own significance. Some go for SGPT or ALT or AST, and some go for a GGT test that is specific in case of cattle. But for obstruction, for any type of obstructive jaundice, you have to go for alkaline phosphate, ALP. Just note down, ALP is one of the tests that helps in diagnosing whether the animal is, but this ALP is also elevated in some bone disorder also. That has to be kept in mind. But generally, it is also an indication of any obstructive types of jaundice. Now coming to the main point, sometime intestinal obstruction is there because you see the size of the parasite, because this parasite varies from 30 centimeter to 25 centimeter adult worm. And if large number of Ascaris worms get accumulated in the GI tract, it produces a lesion just like an intestinal obstruction. So you will be confused whether this intestinal obstruction is due to intussusception or volvulus or due to some foreign body. So large number of parasites get accumulated and forms a ball-like region, okay? Just like a small cricket ball or a small ball. So it produces an intestinal obstruction. And sometimes when the animal cough or the small animal cough, that parasites come sound in the mind, in the mouth. So this is also sometime in human children also. The parasite is coming out of mouth, and you will find a very abnormal condition. Sometimes it comes out in vomition. So coughing out of the worms is also a very important significant finding in case of this types of Ascarid worms. So zoonotic pneumonia and swine influenza accompanied by Ascaris, because you see the life cycle of this Ascaris are from liver into the lungs, and due to the migration of from the lungs, it destroyed the tissue of the lung. It produced irritation there. So there may be outbreak of certain viral infection also, because most of the virus are also related with a parasitic infection. You see, just in case of dog also, if the dog is suffering from parasitic and heavy parasitic infestation, it forms a predisposing factor for the outbreak of parvovirus infection. We see if the dog is suffering from hookworm disease or any other types of parasitic infestation, it may lead to outbreak because it leads to break of the immunity also. So if the immunity is suppressed due to the heavy parasitic infestation and due to irritation produced by this gastrointestinal worms, they leads to outbreak of other viral infection also. So this is also very, very important, why the viral infection get increased during the parasitic infestation in any type of animals. So in calves and foals, similar signs as in pigs also. So you see the very, very important edentated margin, because we have to differentiate these parasites, and we have to see whether this nematodal, what type of different types of nematodal worms. We are actually visualizing the Haemonchus and other parasitic gastrointestinal worm like intestinal worm like Strongyloides, Puparia, and Nematoderus. Here you can see the most important cardinal sign of Ascarid worm is edentated margin. कटा कटा हुआ बाहर का margin का मिलना एक बहुत ही important characteristic finding है इसके eggs को differentiate करने के लिए दूसरे nematodal worms से. Other necropsy finding are subpleural hemorrhage, edema, and congestion in the lung, because this has a life cycle that migrate from the liver and the lung, and blood-stained fluid in the peritoneal cavity. Now peritonitis, you see in large number of pups sometime brought to the clinics, and also sometime adult animals brought to our clinic with a chief sign of ascites. Okay, so in that most of the
Yes, sir.
condition we see that there is a accumulation of fluid in the peritoneal region, and sometimes it may contain blood also. So this may be one of the reason that it was suffering from some Toxocara vitulorum or Toxocara caninum. So that leads to peritoneal, because it penetrates the peritoneal cavity, so it may leads to blood stained peritoneal fluid. In chronic cases, the liver capsule has a white spot mark. So this is also a very important pathognomic lesion. So a white spot marked on the cover of the liver capsule is also a very important pathognomic lesion. So necrotic tissue are replaced. Now the worm, the scarred eggs are brown and have a thick wall with a pitted surface. So this is also a very important diagnostic. So pitted or indented surface classify or differentiate it from other parasitic infestation. And now when you go for any hematology or CBC, so eosinophil, increase in eosinophil, that is called eosinophilia, and decreased hemoglobins are other as ancillary tests that helps in diagnosing it from other disease. Now coming to the treatment, as Dr. Alok has asked, most of the treatment is anthelmintic, both in pigs, cattle, and horses. Now in case of buffalo calf, the parental is the drug of choice. So you see in buffalo calf, parental is the drug of choice for treatment of Toxocara vitulorum, as it has good efficacy against both mature and immature worms. So this is very, very important point, because most of the anthelmintic we give to our animals that are effective only on the adult worm. But if an anthelmintic is effective on the only adult worm, it is very, very difficult to control, because you kill only the adult worm, and the larvae that are in the migration phase or in the developing phase that are again converted into adult worm. So the best anthelmintic is that acts on the immature as well as the mature worms. That is on the larva as well as on the adult worm. So you see the parental is therefore is the drug of choice in case of buffalo calves, because it acts both on the matures and immature worms. So other anthelmintic that are effective against this are the ivermectin, the piperazine. You see, I was talking about this old medicine, this piperazine. Actually, it was one of the drug of choice before parental palmoid. With that piperazine, still some of the farms are using piperazine for the control of this ascaris. So piperazine, even in human beings, this piperazine was effective, and the levomizole are also effective for the control of the swarms. So our advice how to control this ascaris worms: first, go for deworming of calves in 3rd to 6th week of age. So this is the first age in which we go for deworming of the animals. The 3rd week means 21 days to 6 weeks of it. So this is the best time for deworming for the control of these worms. Now, pregnant dams of all domestic animals and pets should be dewormed during that period as deeply embedded. Now, this is also a very, very important finding that these worms rest in the somatic cells when the animals are pregnant. So these worms are not active. They are present in the somatic cells. So there are certain age when the last term of pregnancy came, these worms becomes active and they start migrating towards the udder or passes through the placenta. Therefore, deworming of the pregnant animals is also very important for the control of this parasite or for the control of the Giardia infection. That is the infection occurring just after birth. Now we have 6-minute time. I will go fast because I have to cover this chapter. Now coming similarly, we have discussed the ankylostoma of other cattle and buffalo. Now coming again to canine ascariasis, similar to the above one. Etiology, you see the Toxocara canis and Toxocara luolina. These are two important parasites. And as we have discussed, these are very high. The puppies, the young ones are highly susceptible to this worm, and adult parasites generally are present in the small intestine. Now you see the transmission as we have seen in the previous one by ingestion of L2 and L3 larval stage. And again, the very important other method of transmission is transplacental transmission and the transcolostral transmission. So life cycle is almost similar to the first one. Adult worm, after passing into stool, the larva molt to L2 stage, then L3 become infective. Now this L3 is taken by the host and through feed and water. It is ingested and comes in the intestine, where egg hatches and converted into this again larval stage, and again penetrate the mucosa. It enters after passing through the portal area peritoneum, it enters into the portal vein, and again into the liver, and then into the heart, and then into the general circulation. The similar, almost similar life cycle. Now the life cycle 2, then generally in adult dog and witches, after coming into the circulation, it settles in the somatic cell, that is the somatic cell migration occurs. Now where this lodge into the L3 stage. Now this L3 stage may affect the liver, or it enters into the heart, or it goes to the brain, or it get lodged in the muscle. So these are the lodgement area, the predilection site where these parasites are present, remain in dormant stage, and when the active season come, that is during the pregnancy, they start migrating from this region towards the colostrum or passes to the placenta. So you see the pregnant bitches, generally 42 days period is very, very important. During this period, they start, the larva that is present in the somatic cells become active, and the larva comes out in the circulation again, and it passes through placenta to the developing fetus. So this is a very important life cycle. Now, the second life cycle, that is continuous after entering to the placenta, they may enter into the udder and comes out in the colostrum, infect the pups, and in pups, it goes into the portal vein and comes in the circulation, from circulation into the heart and the lung, then rupture the lung alveoli, then mold into the L4 stage, and then it goes into bronchial tree, but infect the bronchi, then again comes into the trachea, and from trachea it comes out in the mouth, and again resolid. And this is the region from where the parasites sometimes comes out from the mouth also. You see during the second phase, that is the second swallowing phase. On the first phase, it gets infected and there is a migration from the heart, liver, and lung. In the second phase, it again comes out in the mouth. And again, if resolid, it enters into the stomach, intestine, and converted into adult worm. So similar life cycle as we have seen in Toxocara vituludum. So pup less than 5 weeks of age are highly susceptible, because this is the period during which the pups depends upon the mother milks all the colostrum. Therefore, this is the most dangerous period. So pups greater than 5 weeks of age, there is somatic cell migration occurs in these pups. So Toxocara leonina, we have discussed the two parasites, Toxocara canis and Toxocara leonina. But Toxocara leonina have a similar life cycle, but no migration of larva in the somatic cell. So there is no somatic cell migration is found in the Toxocara leonina, but it is one of the important pathogenesis in case of Toxocara caninum. So again, the pathogenesis, you find a liver milk white spot known as spotty liver is one of the pathognomic lesion. There is a mild enteritis, and due to that mild enteritis, there is a diarrhea and intestinal obstruction and intestinal perforation. That is production of peritonitis is there, or there is a chance of intestinal obstruction here also in case of small animals. Now, clinical finding, there may be sudden death in case of pups. There is occasional vomition is there, dehydration is there, rough hair coat, pot belly condition. You see most of the small animal comes with a very, very pedunculated and pot belly condition, and also the occurrence of pneumonia. So all the pneumonic patient, small animals are not suffering from respiratory tract infections or the bacterial virus. You have to suspect it may be a parasitic infestation also. So again, you see the piperagine, the very old medicine, again at the dose rate of 100 to 300 mg per kg orally, you can give, or you go for parental palmoate at the dose rate of 5 mg per kg body weight, 2 to 3 weeks of age, and repeat at 4, 6, and 8 weeks. So this parental palmoate is one of the drug of choice, especially in case of pups also. So you see, again, we do create a problem of excess dosing in case of a small animal with the help of this parental palmoate, because this parental palmoates are, a nemocid is one of the medicine of human beings, human child, in which 1 ml contain 50 mg. And if we do mistake, if we give 1 ml to a 5 or 3 kg pups, there is certainly the parental palmoate toxicity. So just take care of this drug toxicity. You have to give at a 5 mg per kg body weight calculated dose to the young animals also. So this covers the very important parasites, and also very, very important for examination points of view. Now, few quick questions. We have 1 or 2 minutes left.